Millions of Europeans commute from rural to urban areas every day. Meeting Europe's climate targets means we need many of these journeys to be by public transport, rather than by private car. This creates a problem. Public transport authorities are under increasing pressure to connect rural areas with urban centers, especially since 85% of rural bus operators are currently operating below the break-even point. Fewer people live in rural areas, which means fewer users and more expensive operations, resulting in an increasing number of line closures. Rural areas account for 75% of the EU's land, yet they are home to only 20% of its population, making it very challenging to provide services to these areas. This creates a vicious cycle in rural transport systems, leaving vulnerable groups who do not have access to cars stranded. Public transport is decreasing significantly. In rural areas of the Netherlands, for example, bus services have become 40% less available over the past 10 years. How can Europe's transport providers improve rural public transport affordably? An emerging approach is to focus on public mobility systems rather than public transport alone. Whereas public transport typically focuses on fixed bus lines, a public mobility approach adds new technology and services that make mobility systems more integrated, convenient, and cost-effective to run. The first public mobility service began decades ago with concepts like Dial a Bus. More recently, technology has enabled demand-responsive transport systems and mobility as a service to add to public mobility systems. With new innovations emerging every year, the question for public authorities is how to build integrated public mobility systems that work in rural areas that are more difficult to service. How should public mobility services be run, and who should pay for it? The Interreg Europe project Rural Mobility is building new policy instruments to answer these questions. With backing from the European Union, 7 regions and transport authorities are developing new policies and funding models to connect rural and urban areas with public mobility. Designed using a systems thinking approach, these new instruments will enable existing public transport networks to provide new services in new ways, offering high-quality public transport to all rural users. Improved cooperation between the government, local authorities, and transport providers, alongside smarter use of public transport authority funds, could significantly enhance the mobility system, ensuring that public transport and shared mobility services effectively complement each other. Are you a policymaker, mobility provider, or transport planner for rural areas? Connect with Rural Mobility to exchange insights and learn about public mobility systems.